Hey guys, welcome back to the KoreKara podcast. This week we're talking to another Japanese learner, Jamal, who also goes by Phantom Madman online. He's been learning Japanese for 3 years using the Ajatt method and has been recently studying abroad at Keio University for a year. And in this episode we talk about his approach to learning Japanese, some of the highs and lows of his time at Keio, and what his plans are with Japanese in the future. Like always, if you can support the podcast, please check out our Patreon for bonus clips. But hope you guys enjoy the episode.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the KoreKara podcast. My name is Raza, and I'm joined by my co-host, Eric. We talk to people of all types of background about their lives in Japan, studying Japanese, or even tips and tricks on how to learn the language. This week, we're joined by a very special guest in the Phantom Madman.
Yes, so Phantom Madman is also known as Jamal, and he's an AJATTer who's been studying Japanese for 3 years, and he recently had the opportunity to study abroad in Japan at Keio University under the MEXT scholarship for a year, and that actually also coincided with the coronavirus. But today we're hoping to get a closer look behind his entire history of Japanese and his journey with Japan. So, Jamal, can you give us a quick background of who you are and where you're at today?
All right, so yeah, I go by the Phantom Madman online, and I'm the guy that learned Japanese and made some videos about it. And today, well, I'm still watching Japanese stuff, reading Japanese stuff, maintaining it. But yeah, I reached the level, and pretty much that was it.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking about reaching a level with Japanese, I mean, how did you even get into Japanese to begin with?
Well, for me, I was actually kind of into Japan since I was a very little kid. It's pretty funny. You know how everyone pretty much wants to be Superman, Spider-Man. I wanted to be a ninja, man. So like pretty much from elementary school, I was just like, role playing being ninjas. I was making paper shurikens and stuff. And then one time, I was like 11 or like 10, and I looked up on YouTube, how to make a ninja headband or stuff like this. And then one time in the recommendations, Naruto came up. And so that was basically my introduction for, anime. And at that time, nobody really knew about it, I think, what anime was. So when I found Naruto, I was like, what? This is on TV, I was so hyped, and I just immediately watched it. But, at the time, I didn't even speak English yet. So I actually learned English from that more than I learned Japanese. But then later on, obviously, I got to, listen to Japanese too. And when I first heard, Naruto in Japanese, because the dub only went so far, I was like, "What? This language is so badass," And then
Yeah.
and then eventually I just wanted to learn it. I thought it was just so cool, but it actually didn't really click yet until I was like 17, 18 when I kind of really wanted to start learning.
Right.
I see.
Well, I guess like before you even start talking about Japanese,
Right.
you said how like your native language isn't English. It's actually Dutch, right?
Yes.
So like, what was it like learning English, and how were you able to like reach a really high level with that?
Well, kind of every Dutch kid that is, a weeb or a gamer can speak English. So in our country, it's not that, popular or just a special thing, I guess. I think most Europeans speak English. But the way it went for me is really because, I was just really on the internet a lot. And so, like I said, basically until like 11, 12, I didn't speak any English. But, it was always on TV, and a lot of things don't get translated in Dutch since we only have like 18 million people living here. So, you basically just have to learn it. And then, naturally through immersion, without actually knowing it, obviously, I just picked it up. And, like I said, didn't go as smooth in the beginning. But as a kid, you don't really question things. So it just really happens. And, yeah.
So did you have like the confidence that you could also do the same thing with Japanese?
Well, I did have some hypotheses, I guess, because I've also mentioned this in my videos before, but my dad is also from Africa, and he came here when he was like 14, 15, and he didn't speak any Dutch, right? And for him, it's more amazing because Dutch and English are actually pretty closely related. It's like German and Dutch as well. So, but for him, he had his native language was Somali, and so that's completely different. But he was he's pretty much the most like native sounding foreigner in in Dutch. And
Wow.
like I said, as a kid, I didn't really question things, so I was just like, oh, he's just like any other kid, any other guy in the Netherlands, right? But yeah, later on, I was
Right.
like, oh, that's actually pretty amazing. So I already knew that if I guess live in the country and you're always in touch with the language, you would pick it up. So I did have that
Mm-hmm.
hypothesis, but I guess in the beginning, I wasn't sure that you could do that with Japanese. I was like, still believing in traditional methods, but in the back of my mind, I knew that I could not do it, I guess, and do it you know the way I viewed people do it around me and did it myself, I guess.
I see. So yeah. So when did you actually like begin to learn Japanese?
Um, so there was a moment where I guess I was like 17, where I was gonna graduate from high school, and I knew that I had to choose a path in life, and so this is basically when yeah, I didn't know what to do with my life, and like I was really into anime and like nerdy stuff, and I did have an interest in language learning because like when we did French or like German in school, I was always pretty good at it, and yeah, I always had like this interest in Japan, right? And so I was like, well, why not just learn Japanese and try to make that my goal? And then that's really how it started. And yeah, it was just a combination of interest and like really trying to pick a life path, I guess. Yeah.
I see. Did you like think specifically about like um sort of like career aspirations? Like, would you want to? Did you want to go to Japan and teach English or some other career path?
Well, the thing is, like, and when I look back at it now, it's just really shallow. But I didn't really think about things, and this, came back to bite me, I guess. But really, I was just like, I'm just gonna learn Japanese, and things just gonna fall into place, really. And like, really, up until like later, like 20, did I actually start thinking. But yeah, I was just like, you know, completely just tunnel vision on it.
I
And
see.
I did think, maybe I could live there, find a job, but that was not the priority. I mean, the priority was
Mhm.
just learn Japanese.
Right. I mean, shout out Naruto first and foremost, right?
Right, right, right.
Got you basically into two languages, so
Exactly.
so you got to give credit where credit's due. We
Hmm.
wouldn't have the Phantom Madman here without Naruto, so
Yeah, it's a pretty
thank
good
you,
show.
Naruto.
Hmm.
Yeah, it is a good. Yeah, no, I feel you, man. I
Hmm.
remember watching it myself, but I mean, one thing you did end up doing with Japanese was also the study abroad. You did end up going to Japan, right?
Right.
And you got to do that in Keio University, right, under the MEXT scholarship. So I
Exactly.
guess what was the whole process of getting that scholarship and like getting into the school like?
That was so long, and so basically, I was learning Japanese the whole time, right? And
Right.
when I turned 18 was the moment I went to college, and so I
Hmm.
went to a school that also where you could learn Japanese. So basically, I was able to just learn Japanese and actually not really worry about studying. So that's the only reason I did that. And so yeah, I was just basically into school and learning Japanese. And then at some point, I got an email from one of my teachers saying that they have the scholarship. So I wasn't really aware of it. And so basically, my whole first year, I was just, you know, um, immersing, studying, doing my Anki, not worrying about anything. And then I heard this when I was in the second year. So this was only an option for the second years because
Hmm.
in my school, you had to do an exchange as part of the curriculum, anyways. But that was going to be for 6 months, and yet to kind of pay for it yourself. I didn't have any
Oh
money,
wow.
so I basically, when I heard this, I was like, "Wow, I really need this." And I like also kind of ton of vision on that, and I was like, "All right, I'm gonna put all my eggs in one basket. I'm just gonna be that good that they have to choose me, really." And yeah, so whenever my parents ask, do you have a job? Are you collecting money? I'm like, no, I'm studying Japanese. Going balls to the walls with this. I really had like zero money, but yeah, I just kept studying as hard as possible, and then um, I also had a lot of friends um, in that year that I made that were Japanese exchange students in my school. And they really helped me, get even better faster. Because I was always told them that they needed to help me, and like when I had to write this motivation letter, I asked them for advice and stuff because it was all in Japanese. And then at that point, I also didn't really speak Keio yet, so I was like, "Yo, teach me your ways," because they had to do business conversations and like interviews as well for their job hunting, right?
Right.
And so they really helped me with that. And this process was like there was a lot of documentation. It was just I had to get a health check and like from the doctors. And I remember going to the doctor's office like, "Yo, I need to get checked," and they were giving me a hard time. They were like, "No, we just don't do that." Because the thing is, like, here the health insurance is kind of free, but they also are very, very reluctant to give you free stuff. So only if you really need it, right? And in Japan, you know how they are paranoid about everything always. So I
Oh,
guess
yeah.
I guess they're more lenient with that. So I had to get a different doctor as well, the one that would give it to me. And so yeah, it was just a really long process. And actually, did really. I started this thing in February, I think, of
Right.
2019, and it basically ended in August. So there was a whole process of waiting as well, but there was also documentations, back and forth letter sending, and then I had to come there once they kind of accepted my documents, and then from that they narrowed it down to like 8 people, and we had to do an interview and a test as well. And then once you pass that, they basically gave you the scholarship.
So you had to do the interview in Japan?
No, it was at the embassy, the Japanese
At
embassy.
the embassy, I see.
Yes.
Okay. Wow, pressure situation.
Yeah, it really was. But yeah, I was kind of nervous, like all the way coming up to it, and then I remember
Mhm.
getting there, and the actual feel of getting into an embassy was scary as well. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, once I met the other guys, I was like, wow, these guys are not serious because they were joking the whole time, and like I guess they were all friends, but yeah, they didn't seem very serious, and I was like dead serious. I came in, dressed in like a suit and stuff. I was dead serious because I had to get
You
this
look
right. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you
then I
look
was
at them,
like,
you're like, yeah, you're not taking this
yeah.
from me.
But
So
then
is it
yeah,
given to the guy with the best Japanese or like the highest scores?
I don't know. That's what I thought. I didn't really hear after like they said that I got it. I didn't really hear about the other guys because I didn't really know them. But yeah, that's what I guessed. But I think some other guys got it as well from that group. So
I
it
see,
wasn't
I
like
see.
one guy, but yeah, I think it was like 4 or 5.
You probably got them with the suit. You just walked in with that. They're like, we're giving it
Right,
to this
right,
guy for
right.
sure. So I guess what was like the moment when after this entire really long process of getting this scholarship down and actually being able to finally go to Japan, what was it like when you got the chance to leave for Japan after like all that work?
It was actually kind of scary, and it didn't really hit me before. I remember just I was grinding, and I was just in ignorant bliss, I guess, because if you're in that loophole in the like feedback loop, I guess, where you improve, and then you feel good about it, and then you want to improve more, and it just feels so good, and then I was kind of addicted to it, and yeah, it was just all learning Japanese for me, and then at some point, yeah, I got the message that I had to go, and obviously I was happy for a while, and I was just celebrating with my family. Yeah, I'm getting to go, and then there was like a month where I had to wait and like prepare, and like I had when I thought about all the things I had to do, like getting there, and then once I got there, I had to do more, and I was like gonna be alone, and I was gonna be at the other side of the world, and I was like, damn, and then I got really sad. It's really weird, but yeah, I was really scared for like that while, yeah. And you
I
gotta
mean,
remember, I
very
was I was I was
understandable.
19, turning 20, when I was gonna go there. So yeah, it's like my first
Yeah.
time for everything.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, imagine like your first like big trip alone just being all the way across the world. Like,
Right.
oh man. Yeah, I mean, and I guess like how good was your Japanese then at that point too?
It was getting pretty good. The moment I went there was like the 2 year mark for me when I uh, did Ajatt, right? And then before that, I did
Right.
a little bit of study as well, so you could say like 2.5. Um, and also, I was pretty comfortable with conversations because, like I said, I had those friends, so um, I already knew how conversations going went, and like, yeah, I would say I was pretty, I guess, fluent already.
I see. So I guess the preparation from a language standpoint was all good. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
preparation from a mental standpoint,
Right.
just
And
going in.
if I didn't have the language, I guess I would be more freaked out because it really helped me.
Mm.
But
Mhm.
yeah, from the
But
language
you already
part, I
had
guess.
like friends in Japan, right? I think like
Right.
in one of your videos you said you met up with a girl that you met online. Was that from like HelloTalk?
True, true, yeah. So yeah, I did HelloTalk in the beginning, which like I said, I didn't really know how to learn Japanese in the beginning, and
Mm.
so yeah, I just followed one of my hypotheses, right? So basically, I heard a lot of people say that they get good from talking to other people, and like they learn from that from being in the country and stuff like that. It's like, all right, let's just find a way to do that, and yeah, so basically, I just downloaded HelloTalk, and the way I went about it is I basically just used Google Translate to say what I wanted to say, and then I would
Mm.
like learn from what they say, right? So I wasn't really
Uh-huh.
focused about what I was going to say. It was I knew it was going to be wrong, but
Right.
once they made a response, I was just analyzing the response. It's like, this is how you say it. And actually, it really worked for the beginning parts because I basically just learned the basic grammar and stuff from that, like how you conjugate and some basic kanji, right? Because you have to read the sentence. And so it wasn't all bad, but it doesn't really get you past, finishing your first textbook because, you have the same conversations every time, basically. So I was basically just having six
Mm.
conversations a day, but they would all run dead. And then at that point, I was like, all right, I have to find a new method. And yeah, I knew about AJAT actually since I was like 14, 15, because, you look up on YouTube how to do
Right.
things, and the videos pop up. And I followed some J vloggers as well, like TKOSM and I guess Charlotte in Japan and stuff like that. And yeah, I saw TKOSM's video with Katsumoto, but yeah, every time I checked on the AJAT site, it was too messy, and I couldn't really find the actual method. But then
Yeah.
yeah, once I found Matt's video and like how to use AJAT, which was I guess early 2017, and then he didn't really have any subscribers at that time. He was like 200 to 300 subscribers. He had the video of how to use Ajatt and like how to learn Japanese or something. I guess that was the
Uh-huh.
name. And then when I watched those, he just kind of confirmed everything I thought about how language learning worked,
Mm.
and he seemed like really knowledgeable. And like he actually told me to use the site of the guy I also kind of trusted and like thought was cool. So yeah, then I was just all right. I'm gonna do this, and then that's when it started.
I see. So like
And then
throughout this like
yeah,
learning process, you had like Japanese friends that like from your school and also from like online from HelloTalk that
yeah,
you met up with in Japan.
right, right, right. So basically, there's one philosophy in AJAT that you don't output, but I kind
Right.
of did, and it's not like I output it every time, but I did output a lot, and it, it's not all bad in my opinion actually. And a lot of people say that you'll build habits that you have to break later, but I wasn't
Mm.
really that paranoid about it. I was basically just well, since I didn't do it every time, then obviously don't set any habits. But I also all kept in mind that what I say is probably wrong, and I'll find out later if it's right or not. And but yeah, I always kept making friends, and it was really motivating to do that. And, once you get further in conversation, and you're like, oh, I can actually say this, and then that feels good. And if you can't, then you
Right.
you know can pay attention to how can I say this better. But yeah, the friends from HelloTalk. Um, I don't know how the app is right now, but back then it was actually a pretty crazy app, and I met a lot of crazy people. I guess you don't meet the stereotypical Japanese person there, but yeah, I just had a lot of fun on it, and then yeah, I had some friends from there, and actually met a Dutch guy from there as well. 'Cause like one time I got into a group chat with people, and then some Dutch guy was there, and actually he ended up being one of my good friends too. So yeah, and then I met one person who also came to the Netherlands with me. That was that one girl I was talking about, and that was
Nice.
basically I wanted to go there, but then she didn't really help me, and then that was that. Yeah.
I mean, you spoke to some crazy people being on HelloTalk.
Yeah. Like I talked to one girl who was doing the idol stuff, where
Oh,
you
uh-huh.
have on some underground podiums and stuff, and then you just dance, and then you have some old people look up to you, I guess.
Oh, what?
So that's already not normal, right? And
I
then
don't think that's a
Man.
normal idol stuff either.
yeah, I still follow some girls, so just to say how crazy these people are, right? But they're cool. Right? I
Yeah,
like
yeah,
talking to these people.
Yeah.
So one girl,
yeah.
she was basically like she had curly hair like me, right? But she was like fully
Right.
Japanese, and she thought basically, okay, I'm being rejected by Japanese people, so I'm gonna be black. And so so she went to LA, and I still follow her. She's pretty funny actually. But she went to LA like to pursue like a singing career and stuff, and like she talks in really like Ebonics, like really with like Black American
Oh
accent
wow.
and stuff. So that's pretty funny
And
too.
is it convincing? Like a
Well, yeah,
convincing
she's
accent?
pretty good at English. Yeah. It's
Oh.
not bad. And then there's another girl who's a TikToker now. So yeah, that's the type of people I talk to. But it was really fun.
Yeah, I mean, you really hit every type of person. Got, well, probably a lot more other than that, but man, that's pretty interesting. I mean, we've heard a lot of different Hello Talk stories on the podcast from
Hmm.
like people who helped a lot with Japanese to just friends to like creepers
Yeah.
to
I don't know how the state of
and
the app is right now, but also because I think I was a teenager, and you don't get matched with like adults at that point, so it was just all teenagers, and yeah.
yeah, you'd
Right.
hope so. You'd hope so.
Right, but then we're all young and stupid, I guess. So.
It- I mean, yeah, I mean, it looks like it paid dividends. I mean,
Hmm.
especially kind of helping you through the process, and I mean, and I guess like more so to like helping your Japanese. I mean, of course, immersion is a huge part
Hmm.
of AJAT. I mean, you mentioned Naruto before, but was there anything else you really liked immersing to at the time?
Yeah. So well, Asia is pretty hard as a beginner, and I think yeah, it's crazy because that's the hardest part, and really once you get over that, it's when it starts getting easy, and you can just enjoy things, because you can
Mhm.
understand them. But in the
Right.
beginning, yeah, I really recommend if you're going to go with the immersion method to pick something that maybe you've watched before. So I watched Naruto in English, so I started watching it in Japanese, and then it doesn't really matter, right? Because you already know what it's about. And so in the beginning,
Right.
I was just finding ways to have fun, and didn't really pay attention to efficiency or anything. Especially because the first 4 months I did all kanji, so I did
Mhm.
remembering the kanji right. I was basically just
Hmm.
ankiing that. And for immersion, I was just trying to find things that work, really. So I ended up watching Yu Yu Hakusho, and I had that on in the background when I was doing my Anki, and like I also put it on my iPod and listening to that. And I remember because when I just actually watched an episode, I wouldn't really get too much. But then when I listened to it like 5 times in the iPod, I would get a lot more things, and then gradually I would actually understand it. Um, and yeah, I didn't really like actually watch it episode to episode. I was just like repeating one episode, then repeating the other one, and then gradually I would get through it and actually understand
Mhm.
things. But yeah, I wasn't forcing anything. I was just trying to have fun, and I already knew also because we can talk about it later, I guess. But yeah, I met Matt on the internet, and basically he guided me, so I already had a lot of faith in it, I guess. So I wasn't really worried about
Hmm.
anything. I was just trying to have fun in the beginning. Yeah. And then immersing with stuff I guess basically watched in English or had an interest in.
I
But you had
see.
like monthly consultations with Matt, right?
Yeah, so basically the way how I get really into Ajatt, so I watched these videos from Matt, right?
Yeah.
And so he was like, oh, just read the Ajatt website this way, and then Yeah, this is how you learn Japanese. So I read the Ajatt website, but still, like, I needed something more, I guess. So I read it and I was like, sure, cool articles, motivation and how to actually learn. And then
Uh-huh.
Matt made a 3-hour video, right? And when he uploaded this, like I said, he didn't have too many subscribers. And he also said in the end of the video, okay, for any AJATters out there, here's my Skype, right? And so I was like, nice, I need this. So I basically sent him a Skype message. And I also thought the video was just really cool. It's just, I guess, a guy who I wanted to be because, he went to Japan and then he got really good at it. And I was just like, yeah, that's what I need. And also, this is like when I just got into college. And I remember
Right.
thinking, yeah, and we can talk about that process later, but I remember thinking that, people here weren't serious. And so that kind of bothered me because I was really serious about learning Japanese and people were just like, oh, homework. So I was like, what are you guys doing? And then Matt seemed like a really serious guy. So I was like, oh, I have to follow him. And so I messaged him. And like the day I messaged him, we got into like a long conversation of actually typing. And then, I also said that at some point I said that I was learning English and then, but I don't know how good I am. I can't judge myself, right? And so it's like, I guess you can judge me. And it's so, okay, so let's call, right? And then we got into a call and that call lasted like 5 hours and and we talked about like everything and like from like life philosophies to like, not even only learning Japanese. And then at some point, he was just like, okay, I'm going to launch this thing because his channel started growing as well. He started making more videos. And he said he wasn't going to make videos. But in that Skype call we had, we also talked about Japanese, right? And we talked, he explained kanji to me and like some other thing. And he basically made it into 2 videos. So like the call with me, he made it into 2 videos. And from, I think the one called Why Japanese Kanji Suck, we basically talked about that in the video. I mean, in the Skype call. And then, he started making videos again. He was like, oh, I'm going to launch this thing. I guess he found his purpose to do that. And he had the option of, he made this Patreon and like this Discord server. In the beginning, he had the test run and made it free, I guess. And so I was in that server and, he was just like, I'm going to do some, monthly Skype consultation with people. And so I joined that. And from there, that's where it went.
Really coming in and becoming Matt's disciple out here.
So I kind of was, I guess. And then once I made my first video, he also commented that, so that made me really happy. But in the beginning, I basically just he was just the guru, and I was just following him. I didn't question anything, and it did me well, I guess. But a lot of people also see Matt that way still, I guess. But he's human too, and I got to realize this later. But I think a lot of people think he's God in the beginning, and I think I did too. But,
Yeah, I mean, really getting to know like all sides of him and having a good conversations, really learning a lot. I mean, you always love to see it. And I mean, one thing you get to learn so much really as his, I guess, quote unquote disciple.
Right.
But at the same time, you mentioned like when you got into your program, a lot of people weren't really that serious.
Right.
So was that mainly frustrating to you coming in?
Well, so in the beginning, when I got into the school, I was thinking that I was gonna, find a lot of like-minded people and everything. Everyone's gonna be motivated and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in my high school, when I was doing the HelloTalk thing, people were like, Japan, right? We and stuff like that, kind of bullying me about it, Well, not really, but really being like, Japan, stuff like that. It's like finally I get like-minded people, and I come there. And it's basically just people who didn't really study Japanese at all, mostly. And then, when they studied it, they were like, treating it like a homework. I was like, why are you guys doing this? It's like, it's not math, it's supposed to be fun, right?
Yeah.
And so, nobody really did any Ajatt method or anything. And so, basically once I got into it, I was like, you're doing it all wrong. And like, it kind of frustrated me, obviously, but at some point I was like, okay, I got to focus on myself.
Right. Hey, I mean, where's their 3 year update video at, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I did meet some friends from there, from the Dutch people that were pretty cool. There were some
Mhm.
people who were actually pretty serious. Um, but yeah, in the beginning, I also got a lot of hate in that school because, like, I guess it's funny to say because we had this thing where the Japanese exchange students would, no, the teachers would create a weekly, we call this shabekuri, which is like you come to a place and then you talk basically. And then the Japanese people would be there, and then you could come there too to talk, right? To talk Japanese.
Right.
And then I came there in the beginning when I was a first year quite a lot because I wanted to be friends with these people, and also I wanted to learn Japanese. So that's really amazing for me. And then also I was a first year, and then some third or fourth years came, right? And so
Right.
because I was kind of improving really quickly, and also I had the HelloTalk background, I was already pretty good at having conversations. I mean, I wasn't like good in like in the actual sense, but I could have conversations. And the thing is, some
Right.
second or third years really couldn't. And so I guess once they saw me, they were kind of salty about that. And so I didn't really talk to anyone really, and I was just like Matt said in his video where he tried to be really humble and like not piss people off. I did that, and still people hated me. And yeah, I guess in my school a lot of people were also not fan of the notion that you could learn it from anime. So once when they saw you doing that, they were like, "Oh, that's just a weeb," like he thinks he can actually do that. So yeah, there was just a lot of doubters and a lot of haters. But then once I got actually good and like was in my third year and actually going to Japan, then I
Mhm.
people were like fans of me, I guess.
It's the classic don't hate the player, hate the game.
Right. Yeah, and
Yeah, I
actually
mean,
converted some people into Ajatt. Well, not really. I didn't really go out being a missionary. Like, but
uh,
yeah, people were like, "Oh, so you're learning it that way," and then they asked me how I did it, and then I taught them, and then yeah, eventually people started getting on in that study as well. But yeah, that was kind of the environment in my school. And then when I heard this video, this 3 hour video of Matt, he was kind of explaining the
uh-huh.
exact same thing. So yeah, I really related to
Uh-huh.
him, and then yeah, that's why I knew that I had to follow him basically.
You had to enlighten people along the way. It's funny because in our podcast with Mobile Molly, he just went on a train randomly in the morning, and he was having his doubts, and then this random guy just enlightened him, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
here he is today.
It
Yeah,
sounded
I
more like
listened
a
to the podcast. That
religion.
was really funny. That the it's like this NPC, a guy that comes along every time you're in doubt. The
Yeah.
spirit form, right? It's like, hey, keep learning, right?
For real though,
Yeah.
coming in the clutch.
So yeah, that was
You
funny.
accept those quests, you accept those. But I guess now kind of going back to Japan here.
Right,
So now you're studying your study abroad at Keio University.
right.
So what was your whole experience like with classes, and did you have to take any Japanese classes among those?
Right. So this MEXT scholarship was actually for people who already study Japanese. So if you were in a
Right.
study that was centered around like actual university study that was centered around Japanese, and you could apply for this, and they would basically just continue your studies in a Japanese school. So it was a language thing, and so I
I
was going to
see.
take language classes, and obviously that was not the thing I was going for. I was going for being in Japan, and
Yeah.
yeah, so in the application process, they had like you could pick 3 schools, your top 3, and yeah, where you wanted to go and stuff. And there was like 70 schools you could choose from. And but
Wow.
I basically just googled the best schools in Tokyo, and I just choose those. So yeah, we had Keio and like Rikyo and one other one I don't remember. But basically, I just looked up some schools, and then Keio was like pretty much the most prestigious one. So it's like I'm gonna go to that. And yeah, when I went there, they had basically like a placement test, and then also some interviews to just kind of measure your level, and then based on that, they had classes. So actually, their measurement stick, I guess, was pretty wide. So they had levels from like actual like real beginners to like pretty high levels where they was going to teach you classical Japanese and stuff like that. But
Wow.
I didn't actually end up placing in the highest level, and I was really frustrated about this because their test also had a lot of stupid test things, you know, where they had one question that really frustrated me. Basically, they said, "Okay, make a sentence using this grammar," and then they had the name of the grammar, and I didn't know any grammar names. You know, I was not into grammar theory, so I couldn't do it. But I
Uh-huh.
probably could have made the sentence if I actually knew what it was, you know, or
Yeah,
like stuff
yeah.
where yeah, their question asking was just really making it hard for me, aside from the Japanese thing. And so I didn't end up placing in the highest level, but luckily they also had some level check tests. So basically, you had to choose classes, right? So there's at least 7 classes that you needed to take, and then
Uh-huh.
the first day of those classes, they had like a check, like a verification, and that actually helped me getting into some more higher level classes because I just went to those classes and they were like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, give me the test." And then I made that one better, and then I got into some better classes as well. But the classes
You
were
had
actually
to
pretty high
flex on
level
them.
and high quality, and they were like
Mm-hmm.
they weren't taught in English or in Dutch. Basically, they were taught in Japanese, and some classes were about like literature and like history and like culture, and so those classes were just in Japanese, and you were just learning stuff, and that you know wasn't about language. And
Right.
then those were the
Mm-hmm.
most helpful, I think. And then you also had some classes where you had to give presentations every class for 5 minutes, and that it could be about anything, and that was really fun. And then yeah, there was some actual language classes like reading. Um, yeah, there was some
What were
advanced
the
grammar
other
and stuff
like
like that.
other students like from abroad? Like were they also pretty good at Japanese?
Right. So this is pretty funny because I ended up placing in those higher level classes. They were pretty much all Chinese people, and then so there were other Western foreigners, but they were in some lower levels, and then there were some Western people that were in those high level classes. But it was basically like just one French girl, a guy from Canada, and a girl from Egypt. So just and the rest was all Chinese basically. So it was like 20 Chinese people. But yeah, they were all really good. And when we did that presentation class, it was really fun because I got to listen to all their presentations as well. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was not like all mistake written and stuff like I was used to from high school. And I was actually pretty mind blown because once like the first day at that school, I talked to one of those Chinese people in Japanese, right? And we were just talking about how you like how you got a bank account, like how you you know did all that stuff because I still had to register a lot and I had to do this by myself. And so I asked him for some students for advice, right? And then
Right.
this girl just spoke in perfect Japanese to me, and I was just completely mind blown because I never found another foreigner that spoke as well, right? Or like better than me.
Uh-huh.
And so yeah, that was just like the humble check right there. Yeah, so there were a lot of cool people, and they were really good, and also the classes were pretty good as well, and I actually learned something from
Mm.
that as well.
I guess what was like the
Wow.
social situation, like social life? Did you hang out with those exchange students or like with other Japanese people?
So yeah, in the beginning, I was really stubborn. So I just only wanted to make Japanese friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I actually really tried to do this. And so for the exchange students that I met in the city I'm in, those actually were all from the Kansai region mostly, and some from northern Japan. But no one was in Tokyo. And then I thought I wanted to go to Tokyo because Tokyo was cool, right? But I didn't really
Right.
have any friends there, so I had to make new friends. And then basically how I went about it the first few weeks was just I was just going to talk to people on campus, and I did that a few times, and I had some pretty cool conversations with people. But it's not like you instantly become friends after one conversation. So most of the time
Mm-hmm.
I was just even if I had like an hour cool conversation, we exchanged line and whatever, I will never see them again after that. So
The
yeah,
classic.
yeah. And since I didn't have actual classes with Japanese people like from their school and like what they did, I didn't really get to meet other Japanese people that easily. and they had these
Mm-hmm.
programs, but I didn't really sign up for them because I thought they were stupid. where they where you hang out in a group with like Japanese people and other foreigners, and that didn't really sound too appealing to me. And so yeah, I did live in this dormitory with other Japanese people, and we had this canteen where they made food for us, which was really nice.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, from there I also talked to some people, and then those ended up being more my friends. But those also ended up being more, older foreign exchange students, people from all around the world, and also yeah, people from those classes that I took, and then making some friends with those as well.
I see. And yeah, I mean, you had a lot of high moments and low moments throughout this study abroad as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
In the, yeah, I mean, you had you're able to go and talk to a wide variety of people, but I guess he talked to us about how like some of your highs and lows throughout this entire time you were there.
hmm yeah. So the thing was that, like I said, I was here in my mind, I was here to boot camp and get even better, right?
Right,
And so
right.
I came in with, I guess, a whole lot of expectations as well. So when I saw
Mm-hmm.
these people that came to my school and studied from Japan to the Netherlands, they were basically just having the most fun of their life, and it was really, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
convenient for them that we all studied Japanese and wanted to be their friends. But yeah, we had a lot of
Uh-huh.
parties, and they were just traveling around the Netherlands, and I saw that, and I was gonna be like, yeah, that's gonna be me in Japan. And then I came
Uh-huh.
there, and it was just like it wasn't the same, and I guess Keio was really big as well, and then they didn't really care about exchange students, and so yeah, you were just basically let loose, and so that already kind of was like, oh, so I have to be really alone now, right? And I have to do things on my own,
Uh-huh.
and then I really enjoyed being in Japan, so that was obviously like a really big plus. Um, Being in Tokyo was really fun, and then I would always just once I was bored, just go out the house, walk around, find some cool places, bookstores. I hoarded books as well, and yeah, I was having fun on my own. But yeah, the fact that I couldn't really make friends that easily was really hard in the beginning, and I had to do a lot of stuff, uh, like uh, like getting a bank account, like I said, registering my address and stuff. So that beginning period was really hard for me. And then yeah, once I got to meet with some of my friends that I made in the Netherlands, so they came to Tokyo for me, or I went there, and those were like one of
Oh,
the most
nice.
fun moments ever. So like I would go there for a weekend. I would travel to Japan a little bit. And yeah, just being in the country was like really fun for me. But then I guess the lows were just being alone, not being able to make friends, and then yeah, COVID happened when I was in Japan, so things got even more isolated. And so yeah,
Oh man.
that was the hard
Well,
part. Uh,
I
and I
guess like we're
guess
overlapped
mm,
like when I was in Japan because I was there like August 2019 to like January, and I left like right when COVID
oh
before COVID
really? Yeah,
started.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was there from August to July basically. So yeah, about a whole year. Yeah. But yeah, COVID
Yeah.
really started I guess in March, and I remember
Mhm.
somebody told me about it. One of those Chinese exchange students, like, "Hey, did you hear there's like a new virus?" Like, I guess when I first heard it was like 2019 December or something, and
Mm.
then
Uh-huh.
I was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever. It's just something like the Mexican flu or whatever." We've heard about that, and then didn't really hit me. And then I was on this trip to Kyushu. It was like really fun with some of my friends. We were there for about 10 days.
Right.
And then during that trip, like I was reading the news and stuff, like things were getting really heavy. And so one of those friends, he had a girlfriend in Korea, and he used to travel there a lot. Like he'd go there, like I guess every month or something.
Uh-huh.
And he wasn't able to go, and then uh, yeah, I heard things closing, and then I was like, damn, it's gonna be hard. And then eventually, this was when I did that trip. It was Haruyasumi, so spring vacation. So I was basically free for a month. But then they extended our vacation, and then they said basically, okay, we're gonna go all online now. So yeah, I didn't go to school anymore basically for the last 6 months.
Oh dang.
Oh man.
A,
The
a
the
lot of
classic Zoom University.
Right. Yeah.
a lot of my friends had to like, even though they were signed up for a year, like till
hmm
July, they had to go back around
Yeah. Yeah.
March.
So I actually thought I had to do this as well, but and a lot of the friends that I made also had to go back, but they I guess they let me stay. And then I was really lucky because I think this was because this was like a government thing, right? And they kind of
Mm.
arranged my flights, so I guess they weren't worried about it because as well when I had to leave, like actually leave in July, um, they still arranged a flight for me, and when I went to that airport, normally you have to screen with like all the lines of like flights, but then
Hmm.
it was just only like Tokyo, Amsterdam. That was it. And then I was on a plane with like 20 people. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah, whoa, I can't even imagine how that must have been like just kind of so you spent most of the like last kind of like 6 months just inside your dorm, kind of just doing
引きこもり
classes.
生活。
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. And I guess, like I said, the first like 3 months were pretty hard for me in Japan, but then I found out my ways, and then I explored a little bit. I knew how the systems work now. I was feeling comfortable. I was making friends, and then the friends left after the next 3 months, basically. And then yeah, it was just COVID era, basically COVID arc, anime arc, and then and then yeah, I was basically locked inside, and then, like I was starting to lose motivation as well at this time. So yeah, the classes didn't really interest me anymore, and then but I still kind of did them because I was paid to do these basically, so I had to. And then yeah, but in this period, what I did the most was just exploring Tokyo. So the funny thing is, Japan never actually went into hard lockdown, so pretty much everything was still open. I guess Eric knows about this if he was there as well. But yeah, Japan pretty much the only thing they did was like ask you to wear masks and wash your hands. But and they made like some social distancing ways of getting into stores, but still pretty much
Right.
everything was open. So I guess they closed for a little while because I used to go to arcades a lot, and
Mm.
they
Uh-huh.
closed for a little bit. But yeah, then they went open again after 1 month maybe. And so yeah, pretty much I was able to still explore Japan and do my own thing. But yeah, it was a little more isolated and
I see. Yeah, I feel like COVID anime arc is the best like way I've heard anyone phrase it. I'm gonna start using that from now on.
yeah, I hope it ends soon. It's too long.
Yeah, for real. This arc has too much filler in it now.
Right, right, right.
I'm starting to get tired of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned like you're traveling a lot of places. What was maybe one of your like favorite places to that you did travel to?
Yeah, so in the end, I didn't go to that many places. I went to 3 cities in Nagano Prefecture. So I went to Ueda, which is the hometown of one of my good friends. So yeah, when I was in the Netherlands, I signed up for this buddy thing where you basically guide around one Japanese guy, and then yeah, you're his guide basically. And
Uh-huh.
that ended up being just one really cool guy that I still am friends with today. And then he came to my house as well in the Netherlands, and he stayed there during the summer vacation a little bit. And then he was like, "Oh, that was awesome," and then he hung out with my friends and stuff. And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, we're gonna do the same, and you're gonna come to my hometown when you're in Japan." And so we did that. And like during the Christmas holiday to like New Year's, I was there. Uh, and it was really cool because, like I said, I didn't have any family here, so I got to hang out with his family, and yeah, so that was really nice. And then I also visited another Dutch student who was also during their exchange from my school thing, and
Right.
she was in Matsumoto, which was also in Nagano Prefecture. So I went there, and I also went to Nagano City, and then yeah, I also went to Kyushu, like I said, and then yeah, that was basically it. And so I didn't get to travel too much, and I did have plans on I also wanted to go to Korea because before I learned Japanese, I was really into competitive games like stuff like that, and that's the esport
Uh-huh.
mecca basically.
Esports hub.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I wanted to go there, but I didn't, and then I also didn't even travel to Kansai, which was a bummer. But yeah,
I
but yeah, the
mean,
times I did travel was like really fun, and I'm really glad I did. And then the Kyushu trip was the height of everything because we basically did a road trip around Kyushu. And so we went to every major city like Nagasaki, Fukuoka, uh, everything, Kagoshima. And so yeah, I saw everything, and then a lot of experience along the way. So that was the best trip, and then yeah,
Yeah, sounds amazing.
it really was. Yeah,
The road trips are always the best in Japan. You got anyone who hasn't and has the opportunity to should definitely take the chance.
yeah, I really recommend it. And then I was with I couldn't actually drive, so I didn't have my driver's license, so they drove for me, and I was with those two friends that I hung out with the most when I was in the Netherlands as well, and yeah, it was just really fun, and especially being with them because we were already friends and stuff. So yeah, that was really fun.
Right. And I guess now kind of encapsulating your entire experience over there, like studying abroad in Japan, how would you rate it? Because I mean, you had ups and downs, and then of course you get hit with the COVID anime arc
Yeah.
towards the latter end of it. Would you say you really enjoyed yourself, or would you say it was all right, or how would you rate your entire experience?
Yeah, so I guess I had a really weird experience where I was also getting hit with like reality checks because, like I said, I had a lot of expectations and like things about learning with Japanese as well, where I didn't really think about the future. And then,
Hmm.
I kind of achieved what I was, going to what I set out to achieve, right? Which was going to
Right.
Japan and learning Japanese. And then once I got it to a really good point, and once I basically once went on this exchange, I was like, okay, what next? And then some empty silence came. I was like, fuck, I don't even know what to do. And then yeah, and then that hit me, and then yeah, like I said, the hard times. But overall, I think I did have fun in Japan. Like I said, I really enjoyed being there. I still enjoyed interacting with the language, and yeah, just the fact that I was there, I really did appreciate it. And then at some point when I talked to my mom, like, I'm alone, COVID, it's happening. She was like, come home, come home. And I was like, no, I'm not coming home. So yeah, I did feel bad, but I still appreciated being in Japan. I still had fun in a lot of ways, just exploring. And yeah, basically every time I felt bored, it was like, oh, let's go out the house, let's find something new. So yeah. So overall, I
Yeah,
didn't
I
really
mean,
regret it, and it did help me learn Japanese even more, and you know, be in contact with it helped me see Japan. So I didn't really regret it.
right.
I do see it
And
as a positive thing in hindsight, I guess.
uh-huh. Oh, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Mhm.
And would you say that you would you would want to come back to Japan in the future?
Yeah. So I really have been thinking about the future now, and
Uh-huh.
obviously I want to finish my study and try to get a job still with the Japanese because that's the degree I'm gonna get. So I do have
Hmm.
to find a way to use it. And so I do still want to try to find a way to work maybe in Japan or even in the Netherlands with a Japanese company.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm still um, trying to finish my degree first, and then I'll look for job opportunities. But I do keep the I guess choice of going to Japan in the back of my mind. I don't. It's not like that experience scarred me or anything. But I will I will try and I do have a lot of things I want to do better. I guess so. And now that I know
Right.
the process and like how the things work there, I guess it'll will be better. And I do miss Japan sometimes. Since I came back, I remember the first time I came back, I was like, all right, Japanese is off. Put Japanese to the side for a little bit. I want to eat my Dutch, mashed potatoes and whatever. Yeah, so the Dutch culture that I neglected, basically, let's experience that again. And then, but yeah, after a while, I really started missing Japan as well. So I definitely do want to go back, and then we'll see about what kind of jobs I can do. Maybe using still Japanese because I did learn it at the end of the day. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So are you still trying to get better at Japanese?
Yeah. So about that, basically, when I finished um the first half of like school, when my motivation was like sinking, that was kind of when I was like, all right, there's not much more Japanese to learn, I guess. And obviously, I mean, there's a lot of Japanese to learn, and there's a lot of words I could still learn, but
Mm.
it's the diminishing returns thing where you have to do a lot of work for the smallest gain, really. And so, yeah, if I wanted to get better now, I'd have to like find like a lot of stuff that's challenging, and that's probably not very fun. And there's gonna be a lot of grinding for like small vocabulary that in the one instance that
Mm.
I find it, it's gonna be, I guess I'm gonna know it, and then that's the only gain, and then there's not much use to it. And obviously, I could when I have to actually work there or have to actually use Japanese with a goal, then it would be more useful to actually still improve. And then
Right.
I still needed to improve probably. But yeah, at this point, if I'm just watching anime, reading manga, I don't really need it. And then yeah, so I was basically like, okay, we're gonna stop being so hardcore and like stop using Anki and stuff like that.
So how many cards did you have when you stopped using Anki?
Oh yeah, so about this, I'm not the biggest Anki guy. So actually, I'm pretty much all immersion. So I have like 3,000 sentence cards, something like that. I don't even have close to 10,000. But that was also because once I found new words at some point, I didn't even bother putting them in Anki because at some point you just kind of know that you will learn them anyways. So yeah, I'm pretty much the most laid back AJATter you'll find because I was all about fun and just all about. I didn't even think about any efficiency. I was really bare bones with Anki and like the way I did things. I mean, I got the tech from Matt that that I used, so it wasn't really painful. I didn't really use any Google dictionaries or anything. So yeah, I basically just had the bare minimum, and then for sentence cards, I only added stuff that I thought that okay, I'll probably forget this. But like, if I found a word and I knew like, oh, this is actually a pretty common word, why didn't I know this? Then I didn't even add it because I knew I would find it. And a lot of times when I added 10 a day, right? 10 sentence cards, and
Right.
then even I would find more than 10 a day, obviously more new words. But then I wouldn't even get to adding those. But then I would still learn them, and then because I guess I had them in the back of my mind, and then I would come across them. And so yeah, I just realized that you could learn things more through immersion, and I kind of kept making. I didn't make cards for literally everything. Basically, I was like, all right, this I'll just learn through immersion, and then the really hard words I'll make Anki cards for.
I see. But yeah, Jamal, kind of closing out the podcast today. I mean, we talked a bit about kind of your experience with AJAT and learning Japanese. And on the podcast, we have a lot of listeners who are either studying Japanese or also looking to study abroad in Japan. Do you have any advice for these listeners of ours to maybe give them maybe not the text Matt gave, but maybe the Phantom Madman text.
Yeah, obviously. So in my videos on YouTube, which if you want to check them out, it's the Phantom Madman on YouTube. I also gave out a little bit of advice, and I guess the best thing I can say is just have fun and prioritize fun, especially in the beginning, where the only variable to you getting good is if you're getting in touch with the language as much as possible. So in the beginning, you just want to make that process as smooth and as fun as possible, so that you do it. And then later, once I guess once you are past the 1.5 year mark, is when you can focus on efficiency. But in the beginning, I would just prioritize having fun and not to really think about too much, because you have to just trust in the process and you will get good anyways. If you're doing the right stuff, then you will get good. It's like no question. So just have fun and enjoy the process, and really prioritize that, and don't really worry about the specific. Just focus on the fundamentals, Anki, immersion, and then yeah, if you want to go to Japan, Japanese really helped me enjoy it more. So yeah, just get as good as possible, I guess, and then it'll be fun. I think.
Hey, great words of advice. And with that, I think we can go and close out the podcast today. And Jamal, you mentioned that we can find you at YouTube at Phantom Madman with the zero, by the way. Make
Right.
make sure you guys get that.
Uh-huh.
The zero is very
On
important.
Twitter as well. Yeah.
But on Twitter as well. Is there anywhere else we could find you?
No, that's pretty much it. If you want to DM me, and I had a lot of people from my video also ask me for advice through Twitter DM, so I'm still open, and I'll pretty much answer anyone's questions. So yeah, if you want to run through with the DM, come hit me on Twitter.
Yeah, slide in, guys. Slide in. Let them know KoreKara sent you to the DMs.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and at the end of our podcast, Jamal, we do a very classic message that we like to do, the KoreKara message to the listeners,
Hmm.
or the message to the KoreKara listeners. It has many different names at this point, and this can be anything. It could be a fun message. It could be a word. It could be a thank you. It could be anything. So I'm putting you on the spot right now. What is your message for today?
A message. Keep watching anime, and I guess I sound like the anime man now. Yeah, just keep immersing. You know, if you want some recommendations from me, it's my favorites are Monogatari, Hunter x Hunter, JoJo's. Yeah, Haru Suzumiya. I love those. So yeah, just keep immersing. You will get good, and then you know, yeah, and これから日本語を喋れるようになる. That's it.
Hey. Yeah, I mean, I'll add on to that real quick. Hopefully the COVID arc ends soon.
Yeah, I hope so.
All right, you can't go wrong with that list there. But with that, thank you so much for coming on the podcast
Yeah,
today,
thank you
Jamal. It was
very
an
much.
absolute pleasure.
Mhm.
Yeah, and with that, we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to our episode with Jamal. Just wanted to quickly shout out our patrons, Sad Boy, Jack, Miku, Izenga71, Your Boy, Cage90, and Alan. Please leave a comment and let us know who do you like to see next on the podcast, or even what kind of guests you like to see next. Anyways, peace.